what up, y'all? Wednesday, December 5th, video number 2. If you haven't seen the first one where I talked about Q and a little bit on the UFO topic, there's the card for it. And in this one, really just what I want to do is cover a bunch of articles that I haven't been able to get to over the last few days. So we're going to talk about space weather, we're going to talk about Neil deGrasse Tyson, big news coming out on vaccines there, and then a couple of other things. First of all, shout out to a sponsor of this YouTube channel in Rugged Reserves. For the holidays, Rugged Reserves is having a sale on their Patriot flashlight, their Patriot Survivor flashlight. There's a lot of neat features on this little device. It's solar powered, so it's a flashlight that'll never go out, doesn't need a battery, it's solar powered, and not just that, but it has a USB charger, so you can charge your phone wherever you're at with this solar powered device. Then it has a few other neat features on it. It's got an emergency siren, it's got a window breaker on it, a wire cutter, and it's an awesome survival device. So there'll be a link in the description down below where you can go check it out. Now let's get into talking about space weather. So this piece of news flying around, a solar storm predicted for today threatening blackout. Here's the thing, I've seen a lot of clickbait, sensational reporting on this. Really, this solar storm is hardly a solar storm. Let's actually, instead of taking express.co.uk, a tabloid's word for it or anything on the mainstream media, let's just go to a website that I often use to track solar weather. This is always handy just to go straight to if you have any questions about what's going on with our sun. That website is solarham.net. And you can see here the graphs. This is actually the one tracking the space weather, the geomagnetic storm. Nothing. Basically nothing there. And you can see even here, they're saying the current coronal hole stream failed to generate a geomagnetic storm and only produced slightly enhanced activity at higher latitudes. So really, it was a big nothing burger. There might be a little bit of a solar storm this weekend, minor G1 storming possible, but this solar storm never got, the forecast for it, I should say, never got past a G1 solar storm, which is really like the bottom of the barrel. It's not much, and it really isn't anything that's going to knock out communication systems or cause a blackout. So there was a lot of clickbait, sensationalized reporting on this issue. And again, I always find it best just to go straight to any sort of source for information rather than hearing stuff you see reposted on Twitter with people getting triggered or caught up with whatever narratives, So really, yeah, this solar storm, nothing that's going to cause any sort of blackouts. That being said, it is important to note the cabal could very well use that solar storm causing a blackout excuse in case they wanted to take down any sort of, the internet, communication systems, anything like that, cause a blackout. They could use that as an excuse, but in this case, if we did get a blackout today or this week, it's not going to be the sun, it's going to be them. So again, I'm going to link solarham.com down below. You can go check it out and bookmark it if you want to track solar weather for yourself. Now let's talk Neil deGrasse Tyson. Neil deGrasse Tyson denies misconduct allegations as Fox and National Geographic review claims. So I call him Neil Disgrace Tyson. Him and his partner, Shil Nye, the science guy, they are literally the lying mouthpieces of mainstream bullshit science. Pretty much no matter what they talk about, whether it's vaccines, GMOs, cosmology, astrophysics, it's just like all of the brainwashing BS that the deep state is trying to implant you with. So these individuals, they just reek arrogance. The ego just drips off of them, and I just can't stand either of them. They lie a lot. I wouldn't doubt if Neil deGrasse Tyson actually did this sort of stuff, but hey, I'm more than happy to see him fall from the pillar of science authority that many have him placed on. Next story, forget legal weed. Some Oregonians want to legalize psychedelic mushrooms. Now, on one hand, okay, this is pretty cool. Psychedelic mushrooms, psilocybin. It's a God-given plant, fungus, nature grows it, and it has absolutely therapeutic benefits that we could use it for. Treat PTSD, not just that, but to help you explore different aspects of your consciousness with. It's an amazing tool. Psychedelic mushrooms are an amazing tool. But that being said, I'm not for this particular type of legalization because really what they're going to do is the exact same thing with weed. They're just going to still make it illegal in all intents and purposes. You're not going to be able to grow it And if you do grow it, you're going to have to get a special license. And if you want to sell it, you're going to have to get a special license. And you're going to have to sell it on their terms, you know? And if the pharmaceutical industry wants to get into the game, what they're going to do is patent a particular form of molecule and then pay out the ass to get any sort of medicine from the pharmaceutical industry for it. So you always gotta look beneath the superficial headlines, the superficial reasonings. Oh yeah, legalization of this natural medicine and use it for medicinal purposes. Sounds great, but how they're going to implement that. Be very careful. Be very careful. Next, let's get into talking about vaccines. So a Las Vegas man blames the flu shot for triggering a rare disorder. A man in Las Vegas has been hospitalized for over 2 weeks right after he got his flu shot. Even his family is blaming the flu shot for putting him in the ICU. And check it out. He's being treated by doctors for what's called Guillain-Barré syndrome. Now, I know you've heard lately about this AFM syndrome going through the populace. You know, hundreds of kids around the nation getting afflicted with this AFM, this acute flaccid myelitis, right? Well, what have I been saying about it? It's basically the same darn thing as Guillain-Barré. And what are these diseases really being caused by? Vaccines. Truly, you really got to look into these vaccines. They are just toxic things, full of heavy metals, full of nanoparticles, full of who knows what, and injected right into us. That does not help our immune system. That does not help, especially our nervous system. And that is evidenced by all of these. We got not only children, but adults now being afflicted by these nervous system syndromes, Guillain-Barré, AFM. And shoot, just look at autism. My God, that's not a conspiracy. Vaccines absolutely are one of the largest promoters of autism there is out there. You're injecting that aluminum right into your blood. It's not good. So there's that. Reject those flu shots, guys. And check it out. Italy is rejecting those shots, period. Anti-vaccine Italian government sacks an entire health expert board. 30 members of what's called the Higher Health Council were all removed by the health minister. And Italy is really doing a whole 180 on the topic of vaccines. Just a year ago, a lot of people were scared, especially in Italy, about mandatory vaccinations. Italy was trying to roll out these mandatory vaccination legislation. Now, just a few months ago, they completely removed that, did a 180 on that issue. They don't have that mandatory vaccination legislation anymore. And they're sacking this whole health council. The vaccine skeptic Italian government. It's ridiculous. And now you're seeing the mainstream media completely shift as well. You know, they were on board with that Italian government a year ago when they were for mandatory vaccinations. Now that the Italian government is on the other side of the fence, mainstream media starts attacking them. Who would have thunk? But you go, Italian government. Let's hope that that same sentiment starts occurring in our own health institutions. FDA, CDC. Ooh, it'd be a wonderful day if this sort of anti-vaccine sentiment began there. Truly. Now let's get into another news story I saw come out. And this one's intriguing. Ancient tools found in North Africa could, quote, rewrite human origin story, end quote. And what's peculiar about this, and we see this every few weeks, every couple months, we get some new sort of discovery that we have to, quote, rewrite human history with. Right? It's as if stuff just gets older and older and older. And the ancient civilizations that we thought started around the Egyptian era, 3000, 4000 BC, now that's getting pushed way older. Some of those discoveries in Egypt are finding out that, man, maybe that Sphinx is thousands of years older than we thought, because that Sphinx's face is really weathered. It would not be so weathered if it was just a few thousand years old, right? So instances like that. Göbekli Tepe. Did I even say that right? Göbekli Tepe. How many thousands of years old is that? So we have all of these ancient discoveries redoing what we thought we knew about history. And everything we think we know, almost about everything. Health, physics, history. Throw that out the window. We need some serious relearning in this society. A couple more articles I have here. This one, UFO sighting in Texas. Keller resident records mysterious, quote, cigar-shaped object in the sky. And this looks real to me. Cigar-shaped object, luminous right there in the sky. What I think personally, now first of all, anytime you see any sort of UFO sighting or you see an anomalous craft in the sky where you don't know what it is, it's not a plane, always think ours or theirs. Could be a man-made black project electrogravitic craft, or it could be an extraterrestrial craft, some kind of extraterrestrial craft. There's various kinds and sorts that we could talk about, but ours or theirs? Ask yourself that. This one, I would personally think this to possibly be ours. It's cigar-shaped, and if you look into the naval secret space programs, primarily Solar Warden, it's been said that the Navy has Black Project cigar-shaped electrogravitic craft. So this could be one of ours being shown in the sky. Could be one of theirs still, cigar-shaped ET vehicle, but could be one of ours. Some sort of covert military craft. Now, this goes to say, the men behind the scenes, those within those black projects that have access to these technologies, I would imagine that many of them are sick of the cabal's lies, just like a lot of those folks on the Q team are. There's a lot of these faction cells of this umbrella term that we call the Alliance behind the scenes, and they want disclosure. Of course, Q is working towards various disclosures in the political spectrum within the FBI, DOJ, and whatnot, but you've got to connect the dots and just logically deduce that there's got to be some white hats, some guys behind the scenes that are within maybe more so the Navy or the Air Force, their space operations, where they want to disclose what they have access to, right? It's got to be the case. So I would imagine that many of these sightings that we see that are our craft, they might be showing on purpose. They might be purposefully materializing these craft in the sky, taking them out of their deep underground military bases where they keep them, right? Materializing these things in the sky and showing them over the populace to purposely get a photograph so this stuff can start getting into the public domain. You got to think of these sorts of things. So they got to disclose it in a very easy way. Showing their craft like this could be a way where they get sightings every so often, acclimate the public very slowly, and then as time goes on, as the public becomes more aware, more ready, they can start showing their crafts. And heck, maybe one day when the deep state gets rounded up, then they're able to bring this stuff out to the public and actually do the full disclosure that we all want. So those are just some thoughts for you guys. Take it or leave it. And one last thing, sort of on the same subject, talking about secret technologies in the Air Force, Navy, and whatnot. Found this article come out of nationalinterest.org, but it said, imagine this, Air Force F-35 stealth fighters armed with lasers. They're saying it could happen. Here's how. I'm saying it already has happened. And my guess is that Donald Trump and those white hats, I would imagine there's probably been some meeting that they've had at some point where Donald Trump sits down, crosses his arms, and just goes, you guys are going to have to start disclosing the secret stuff, or else you're not going to get the good military contracts. Wheel and deal like he does. And that's his deal to get those elements within the Air Force and the corporate contractors that have been covering up these technologies for a long, long time. They've had laser directed energy weapons for decades, and that's in the public domain. Everything we see on the public domain is a drop in the bucket compared to what's really out there. They have stuff that's far beyond lasers within quasi-military corporate Air Force, Navy, corporate contractor projects. So I would imagine that the Air Force and Lockheed and Boeing and whatnot, they're starting to roll out many of these disclosures, much like I was just talking about in the way of showing their craft, even feeding bits of information like this to the media, running little articles here and there, talking about the technologies, start rolling out the technologies at a bit faster of a rate into the public, and then the sciences and the tech they do talk about starts getting, more and more deep, more and more wondrous and mind-blowing, but just them disclosing what they've been working on for a long, long time. So this is something we are waiting for with full disclosure. This great awakening is not just a little bit of corruption in the FBI and DOJ. It's not just 60,000 sealed indictments. It's not just the CIA getting dismantled and repurposed. But It is the disclosure of, man, where have those trillions of dollars in Pentagon money gone? What sciences and technologies have been hidden from the public for a century? What about this breakaway civilization? What do they actually have? It goes far beyond lasers, goes far beyond CERN. I've seen a lot of people talk about CERN lately. I have more thoughts on that later. It goes far beyond that. Truly, I mean, we literally cannot comprehend what's about to take place and what's going to begin rolling out, what we're going to learn. You know, it's going to be deep, dark, nasty things, of course, but that's priming us for the wondrousness, the wonderfulness, the amazingness that's going to happen after that. And just understand, this whole great awakening, if it wasn't so bad, it wouldn't be so good. It's the polarity of it. The more dark things get, the more bright and light and amazing they're going to be after we get rid of that darkness. So disclosure's coming. The Great Awakening is coming. The Great Awakening and disclosure are happening right now. You're seeing it in action. We're tracking it live here on YouTube. So I'm going to keep tracking that. Hope you keep following along. Thank you so much for watching another video here. I'll be back soon. Thanks, guys. Peace.